everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Paris and I'm the author of these two little books right here, The Magi and Illusion of Fear. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about word count and whether or not it really matters. I think the answer to that depends on if we are talking about word count as a goal or if we are talking about word count as a number. Let's start about word count as a goal first. Word count as a goal is whatever, ideal number you have in mind for the length of your book, for the amount of words you write in a day, for the amount of words you write in a month. There are programs where you might write 50,000 words in a month, like NaNoWriMo, which I'm pretty sure is going on right now in July. So Nano, you set out with the goal to write 50,000 words in a month, which defines a novel. So you're basically writing a novel in a month. In that aspect, in the aspect of goal setting with word count, yes, it does matter. I think word count matters in every context, but it is not the defining feature of what makes your book a book. More on that later. In a broad sense, the word count goals you set for yourself are personal to you, so of course they do matter, but if you write 1,000 words every single day, or if you write 1,000 words one day and 10 words the next and 100 words, you're still writing. What ultimately matters is the fact that you are writing, not the amount of words you are writing. Because there is a lot of context, I think, into how many words you can set for yourself for a goal. I know for me, the actual scene that's going on is what defines how many words it's going to be. It's not how many words are in a scene. I don't know, it could be 500 words, it could be 5,000 words. It kind of depends on the overall context of the scene. Context is a really big deal when it comes to word count. If I'm writing a high stakes scene with a lot of action, it's going to come out much faster. It's going to be written in it's just all the words are going to be piling on because there's a lot going on. And as I personally speed up to match the speed of the scene, this is at least just how I write, it comes out a lot faster and I suddenly have 5,000 words on the paper. If you are writing a scene that is a more serious scene, we are finally solving, you're writing a mystery, we're finally putting all the clues together, finally solving the actual mystery, that's going to take a lot longer to write. That is when you were talking about writing a couple hundred words a day until it kind of all pieces together. So yes, word count does matter, but the context of it matters as well. It is what are you writing, when are you writing, and how much time do you have to do it. Word count as a factual number, I believe, is a lot more serious because it defines a lot of aspects of the book. If you ask somebody how long is the book you are reading, they are most likely going to answer you in either chapter count or page count. It is 100 pages, it is 15 chapters, whatever that number is, that's how they're going to answer it. When you ask a writer or a publisher or really anybody in the writing aspect of it, any mode of that, they're most likely going to answer you in word count. And the reason for that is word count, it does obviously vary. And as the word count varies, as it changes, as you start getting into formatting, editing, whatever it is, every other aspect of the book changes. If we're talking about the formatting of a book that is in a standard 6x9, that final page count is going to be a lot different than the exact same book formatted in 5x8 or 8x11, whatever size a book it is. The formatting changes a lot of aspects of it. So from a writer's perspective, the word count is very important as it gives you a bit of a heads up as to what the length is going to be. Now, again, the formatting does change how long the book is going to be. I think chapters are another thing that writers, yes, we can go off of, but it does fluctuate a lot. I know for me personally, when I sent Beldestein out to betas, it was about 76 chapters. When I got it back from them and I did self-edits, I got it down to 72. Now it's with my editor. I don't know, is the chapter count going to change? It might. I could see myself combining things or tearing things apart, or maybe it's going to stay the same. Whatever it is, the chapter count is not super reliable right now. There is a reason why I have created a lot of extra headers and have them waiting on my computer just in case something happens. Word count, yes, it can obviously change as well as I go through edits. It is going to change, but it is a little more reliable as we are talking about the actual book as a whole, just the actual written aspect of it, and not how the book is going to look, how the book is characterized and split up. We are talking about just the word count, which is very important. Another important little feature that word count comes with is it actually defines whether or not your novel is a novel. Off the top of my head, so some of my numbers could be a little skewed, and I think depending on who you ask, their answer to this is going to change. But On average, under 150 words is considered flash fiction. So that is when the entire story is told in 150 words. Once you start getting a little past that, once you're starting to hit, you're nearing in on 500,000 words, whatever it is, my brain is telling me it's 700. I could be slightly off on that. From that range, from when you're above flash fiction to when you're at about 10,000 words, that is a short story. So there's obviously a wide range in there. So from about, we'll say 1,000 to 10,000 is a short story. Once you go past short story, once you go past 10,000 words, from 10,000 words to 40,000 words, there's a 30,000 word gap in there, is typically speaking a novella. So a novella is kind of like a novel, but a little shorter. Once you hit 50,000 words, so there is like this gray area between novella and novel. Once you hit 50,000 words, that is when you have hit a novel. 60,000 words, I believe, is typically speaking what publishers want as the actual short novel. That is what's considered short for a novel on there. Again, this could change. This is from research I did before I published The Magi. So I'm talking February 2022. Numbers definitely might have changed. But in a broad sense, that is kind of the foundation of everything. Once you hit 50,000 words is when you can say you've written a novel. So, does word count matter? If you want to write a novel, yes, it does matter. But I would argue that more important than the word count is the story. If you want to write a novel and you've written the whole thing and you're hovering at 30,000 words, do not force 20,000 more words into it. You can, if when you are editing and you add more words, you might get longer. You can definitely do that. Do not force it, because then you are compromising the quality of the book. If you want to write a novella and you're hovering at 60,000 words, do not force yourself to chop 20,000 words off. Again, you can do that. You might end up doing that through editing. Do not force yourself. What is more important than the actual number is the story, the content of the story. So when you are writing, if your novella needs to be a novel because of the content you have to tell, if you are going to be compromising the quality by chopping a bunch of scenes off, maybe you actually are destined to write a novel. Vice versa, if you want to write a novel and you are hovering at a lower word count, you might add scenes, you might get it longer, just like you might cut scenes from something that's longer to begin with. But are you risking writing subpar content? If you have 30,000 solid, amazing words and you are forcing words into there, just shoving them wherever they can fit, trying to add scenes here, adding a chapter there, you are risking having your book being kind of like all over the place. You have like a really great chapter and then you tank into whatever you just shoved in, and then you have a great chapter and you tanked. There is a serious aspect of word count where it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the story is what matters. Now, this is just my opinion. I believe the story is more important than the word count. So when people are stressing about not getting a good enough word count in, I don't think that matters as much as the story, as the fact that you are writing. If you got a good scene in and you are proud of this scene and the scene is amazing and it's solid, then that's perfect. Whether that scene is 1,000 words or it's 10,000 words, which, okay, let's be honest, 10,000 words might be a few different scenes, but for the sake of argument, that's okay. If it is good, if it is bringing the story forward, if it is an important aspect of the book that's not just added words, that's not just, kind of hacked up a bit and missing pieces here and there, if it's solid, then it's solid whether it is 1,000 or 10,000 words. My final note on word count is that it will likely have more of a play in your publishing process if you are doing self-traditional or hybrid publishing. For self-publishing in particular, word count really does not matter at all on the final product, because again, like I said, there is like this flexibility between novella and novel. If you are doing traditional publishing in particular, the word count does have a more serious role, because you need to propose, here is my 60,000 word novel, and 60,000 words is what they typically would accept as a short novel. When you're hitting I believe it's 100,000 to 120,000, that's when you're writing an epic novel. So you would need to be able to propose it as that, and you need to do your research to know what your word count justifies classifies as a book. And you would also need to do your research in the publisher that you are reaching out to. If they are not, or maybe they're not interested in novels, maybe they do want works that are 40,000 words and under, maybe they're interested in solely novellas, then you are going to want to know what a novella is. And if your story is, you want to publish through this publisher, that is when you might be like, okay, I want this publisher specifically, I want to reach out to them, but it's too long for their qualifications. I need to do some edits and do some word cuts. Just like you might be like, okay, maybe I need to go through another round of edits and add some words onto it so that it can reach that minimum they want. Now, again, technically speaking, 50,000 words is a novel. So I know that's below 60,000 words, but you can definitely, it depends on the rules of the publisher. Basically, with that, what I'm saying here is that when you were doing traditional publishing, you need to be more serious about the actual word count, whereas self-publishing gives you an aspect of freedom because you're not as picky with the final word count as the publisher might be, because the publisher is looking at it from a factual sense. How many words is this? How many pages is it going to be on the shelf? Whereas from the writer, you are looking at the story. Is the story ready to go onto the shelf? Not necessarily the actual word count. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope it gave you at least some form of education on word count. And if you're the type of person who really pressures themselves into getting a certain amount of words written, I hope this gives you some encouragement that at the end of the day, the word count, the actual number of words, doesn't matter as much as what you are writing, the fact that you are writing, and the quality of whatever it is you're writing. And when I say quality, I don't mean like, wow, this is ready to be published on the first draft. I don't think anybody's first draft is ready to be published. What I'm saying is it working for the stage of the draft you are in. I'm in an area of my publishing and writing, learning process where I am letting my first drafts just kind of exist in their really questionable stages, and I'm just writing and getting the words out, because you can always edit later, you can always add words, you can always take away words. What matters is the quality of the story. So again, I hope this video helped you out. If you want me to dive further into this topic, or if you have another topic you want me to discuss, definitely let me know in the comments. Do not forget to subscribe, and whatever time it is, whether it's morning, evening, or night, have a great day.